hello, and welcome to another episode of Keep It Moving podcast. I am your host, Novelty. Happy St. Patrick's Day. This will probably go up after St. Patrick's Day, but anyway, joining me today is Mike B.
Wait a minute. You know, you were like 2 seconds away from saying Happy Thanksgiving again. You are so stuck on saying Happy Thanksgiving for some reason. Is that your favorite holiday?
I can't wipe my eyes.
You got glitter everywhere, looking like Glinda the Green Witch. You look very, very festive.
Happy St. Patty's Day. See, I got it right that time.
You did. Very good. Hello, people. What it do? This is your boy Mike B. I am here. And I got a little bit more energy now than I did earlier. I got a tired spirit. I don't know.
I'm all happy and jolly and dancing and bouncing around, and he just...
Yeah, I'm big. We've swapped roles because, usually, well, no, I won't say usually.
Thank you.
As far as the energy, I feel like I exude more most of the time.
You're going to exude energy right out that window.
A threat. How are you?
I'm good. Can't you tell?
I can. I wish you would post a picture so people can see all this green you got on. And you came in, you had a little
like
corned beef and what kind of sandwich that was?
It's called a Reuben. So for Irish people who forget to make corned beef and cabbage, a Reuben is the next best thing.
Are you Irish?
Yes.
Okay.
My great-great-grandma was Irish.
Okay, so you're celebrating for the culture.
Yes.
Right on.
I'm Blirish.
Yes, that green, lime green wig you got on though. You're looking...
You're just mad because you don't have luxurious hair like mine.
I'll let you have it. Like I said, you next to my Christmas tree, both.
And it's still up, people. It's still up.
Did they ask you?
I just told them.
They didn't ask you that. But it makes me smile. That's a good thing. You make me happy right now.
Good. That's what I'm here for.
All right on. Anyway.
So how was your week?
My week was good. I was talking to you before we started the show about Movie Pass, telling you might want to try it. And for those of you who don't know about it, I feel like they need to pay me right now since I'm about to talk about it.
Now I think about it, stop. This is a free spot.
No, but I want it's a little program where you pay a monthly fee. You can see one free movie per day. And so I decided to try it out, because I didn't know whether it was going to be, how it was going to work. I didn't know anything about it. But I tried it out. And it came to me, I think, Thursday, or they activated my card Thursday, because they actually send you a credit card that you use to pay for your movie ticket. It came last Thursday, and then A Wrinkle in Time came out over the weekend. And I'm like, I actually want to really support this movie. So I ended up purchasing some tickets over the weekend to go and see it, even though I knew I wasn't going to be able to go, and then use my Movie Pass to go and watch it Tuesday when I got off work. So I got to see A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh, that's good.
But did you read the books? Do you know anything about the movie?
No, I want to read the book before I go see the movie.
So
that's why I haven't.
Next year you're going to go see the movie.
Yeah.
It ain't going to be in the theaters that long, right?
No. Black Panther's still in the theater, so.
I can't. Well, let me just say, I went and saw it Tuesday after work, and I don't know if it was because I had just got off of work and we've been so busy at work, so I was a little bit tired. I just really couldn't get into the movie. Okay. Now, I enjoyed the beginning because I enjoyed the end, but when they went to this magical mystery place, I was like so confused. I couldn't keep my eyes open. And like I said, maybe it was because I was tired from, working. But I don't know. I said maybe this is one of those movies where you had to have read the book in order for it to make sense. Because the trailers were confusing to me. But I figured maybe if I watch the movie, it'll give it more context. I'll understand. Well,
I really want to read the book before I see the movie. I mean, if I go ahead and stop and just read it, I could probably read it in a couple of days. But I might just end up going to see it first.
People were saying that like this is a book that they had to read in school. I never heard of it before.
Yeah, I had to read The Hobbit in school. There's one that had a flying dog that used to come on a long time, and I can't remember the name of it right now. But it used to come on Well, it came on TV a long time ago. I'm sure it was released in theaters, but it has some kind of flying dog. I do not remember the name of it, but I remember one of the characters' names was Bastion. The little boy in the book was Bastion, and supposedly it came from a book too. So I'm sure it was, and it's probably a really good book, which is why I said I really want to read it. But like you said, it might not be in theaters that long, so I might just go ahead because I do want to support it.
Right on. And keeping with today's theme, we told you guys the last time we talked to you that we were going to try and make this show an all positive show.
Wish us luck.
But talking about A Wrinkle in Time, this weekend, Black Panther came in again at #1 in the box office, and A Wrinkle in Time came in #2, right?
Well, yeah, that was last weekend.
Well, this weekend just started. Well, I'm talking about the
this
previous weekend. Yeah.
This previous weekend, Black Panther was #1 for its fourth weekend, and then A Wrinkle in Time was #2.
Right.
So 2 black directors, one mostly predominantly black film as #1, and then A Wrinkle in Time is what it's known for is not necessarily being predominantly black, but being very multicultural, completely across the spectrum. So people are speaking up and people are saying we want to see ourselves in movies.
Right. And when we do, we will definitely support it.
Right.
Shoot. Black Panther is still doing it. I want to see it again, actually.
Well, on that note, Black Panther has brought in over $1 billion worldwide. It is the 7th film to ever gross over $600 million domestically. Mm-hmm. It's been #1 for 4 weeks now, and it's expected to be #1 again this week. But Tomb Raider is creeping up on it, and they running neck and neck. So it's real close right now.
I'm planning on seeing that as well, Tomb Raider.
I'm gonna wait for a few weeks. Wait until Black Panther go down. It's the highest grossing solo superhero movie in North America, the 6th biggest superhero movie worldwide, the 7th biggest domestic grosser ever, and the highest grossing movie for an African American director ever.
Nice.
And Marvel has already said Black Panther 2 is coming. And
why wouldn't they?
Kevin Feige, he's the Marvel Studios chief. He says if he has it his way, Ryan Coogler will be directing it.
Right on. Shout out to Ryan Coogler. And I've been hearing talks of a possible Okoye film coming out, like telling her story, which I would love to hear.
Yes.
And I couldn't think of her title the last time we talked about it, but she's the general.
Of the, what do they call them? I can't never say that word.
Like it's like Dora Milaje or something like that. I wasn't going to bring that part up.
Because you don't know either.
Because I forgot and I didn't think to look that part up. But shout out to Black Panther again. Black folks doing boss things.
Yeah, and that movie is bossing it.
Nope.
That ain't working.
No. Boss.
Okay, I'll pack it up with my green hair.
You tried though.
I could try, you know. So you go see your grandmother?
I have not saw her. Nope. Oh. You thought you were gonna get a granny story today?
Yes. We haven't had one since before you was riding the bus.
Yes. No, we got one last time when I talked about my car because I remember I saw her that day.
Okay.
But they are coming.
I'm sure they are. You got a babe for me?
Actually, I do. This week's Black Achievements and Excellence, we are awarding to Hanif Johnson out of Pennsylvania, who on election day of 2018? 2017. Election day of 2017, which was November, he became the youngest magisterial district judge in the state of Pennsylvania at 27 years old.
Woo!
Yeah. I'm sure they probably want to like toss their phone or pull their earbuds out every time you do that. And I didn't know really what a magisterial district judge was because he's 27. I'm trying to read up on his like law degrees, like what law school he went to. He did go to Penn State, but I found out that a magisterial district judge is a position elected by the residents. So you don't actually have to have a law degree. What they do is they train you on the type of cases that you're going to be presiding over. And it's like, traffic citations, criminal cases. And then you determine if they can be dismissed or whatever, or if they have to go on to like a higher court. But his motivations, he was saying when you sit back and you see Donald Trump become president and you hear about all these things we are affected by, it seems like everything happens through the court system. So everybody always says, oh, we complain about stuff, but we never get up and do anything. This is me getting up and doing something. So shout out to Hanif Johnson of Pennsylvania. 27 years old, magisterial. I think that's how you pronounce it. But he's a magistrate. He's a district judge. He's doing it.
Good job. Good job. Well, this month is Women's History Month.
This month is Women's History Month.
So I got a question. See if you can tell me who this person is. Accomplished pianist who's backed everyone from Aretha Franklin to Yo-Yo Ma. Exceptionally intelligent. Entered college at the age of 15. Got her bachelor's degree, and graduated cum laude from the University of Denver at 19. She went on to be an assistant professor at Stanford by age 26. She was the first African-American Secretary of State, as well as the second African-American the first female African-American Secretary of State, as well as the second African-American Secretary of State. That's a tongue twister. And the second female Secretary of State. She was Bush's national security advisor during her first term.
What was Condaleeza Rice's position?
That's her.
Oh, that's her. Okay.
That's her.
I'm trying to think of a black lady in politics that had a high position.
She was the first woman to ever serve as the national security advisor. This woman was a Republican, but a very accomplished black woman.
Right. Well, for us, for black people, we have to go above and beyond and be like pretty much magical in order to be chosen for positions like that.
And she was magical. I mean, when you look at her resume, she deserved that job. I might not necessarily agree with her politically,
right,
but she deserved that job.
Right on. And then we got this guy that's in the presidency.
So
going back to the positive.
Condaleeza Rice. Right.
Shout out to Condaleeza. And this is probably the only time I've ever given her props because you know me, when I feel some type of way about you, it's really hard to change my mind.
Like I said, I don't agree with her politically, but when I started reading up on her about, who she was and some of the things that she did, this woman is wow. And she grew up in segregated South America. I mean, Jesus Christ.
The South,
the segregated South United States of America.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, she grew up right there. I think it was Mississippi. I took it out, but yeah, she grew up right down there down there where they was doing the ignorant stuff, and
they still are doing the ignorant stuff,
right? So she talked about one of the things she had talked about was why she is pro Second Amendment, pro gun. And she says because she grew up when she was young, in their township, their little neighborhood, the people had to police themselves or protect themselves, put it that way, because you couldn't depend on the cops to do it.
Right.
And so she said if it wasn't for guns, and she said these people, they never shot anybody, but if somebody entered town that wasn't supposed to be there, somebody would shoot up into the air and it would get back to the people at home. And then everybody at home, of course, would pull out their guns and be prepared in case something
pop off. Yeah.
So she said that's why I'm pro Second Amendment. I have to be in a time when we didn't have anything, but we needed to be able to police ourselves.
Right.
So,
and for some reason, the debate always comes up about people being pro or against the Second Amendment. I feel like the amendment itself is not the issue. I feel like just because you are for the right to bear arms don't mean you also are for the right to have an assault rifle and be able to shoot people down, or be 16, 17, 18 years old and purchase an assault rifle.
I feel
like that's a different argument.
And
but people always, when they say, we need gun control, they always think you want to take their guns away.
Right.
No.
Go ahead. Well, I think that's just it with everything. Even you look at abortion, they say pro-life or pro-choice. Well, just because you're pro-choice don't mean you're not pro-life. I'm pro-life, but I'm also pro the choice. The woman has the right to choose what she does with her body. But do I believe in protecting life? Yes. But I also believe in protecting life after it gets here. Why protect life before it's here and sit up and say people cannot choose to do what they want before that life is actually here. And then when it gets here, you ignore it, you shoot it, you kill it, you do whatever, throw it into a system that is only going to throw it in jail.
Right.
That's just stupid. So, I mean, I think when it comes to those things, I think we are more alike than we're not alike. And we focus on semantics versus focusing on the reality.
Because it depends on who the talking head is and what type of narrative they're trying to push.
Positive show.
No, I feel like this is a positive thing.
You're right, but that's going to take me down a very negative road.
I didn't know you had you felt some type of way about it.
I feel really a lot of some type of way. So, anywho, let's get the show started here. And first things up, the March 14th school walkout. I think was very successful. Schools all across the country, students walked out and for 17 minutes. They just left their schools for 17 minutes to some of them took 17 minutes of silence or whatnot, but they left the schools for 17 minutes to pay tribute to the 17 lives lost
in the Parkland
in Florida, correct. Yeah. But one school here in our district, Lincoln College Preparatory Academy, took theirs a little bit further. They did the 17-minute walkout for the whole student body, but then they did the juniors and seniors did a little something different. They marched from the school all the way to City Hall and protested right in front of on the steps of City Hall.
Oh, really?
Yes. Only juniors and seniors went, along with, I believe it was a vice principal and a couple of teachers.
We were hearing the stories about some schools not really wanting this to happen or basically trying to prevent the students from protesting. I feel like these students have a voice. What they're trying to speak about isn't negative. We don't want to be killed. So I feel like administration should support something like that. And you're just hearing that a vice principal went with them.
Well, and it's funny because this school years ago, a protest happened in this school, which was a Martin Luther King assembly, and the students left the school, they didn't leave the school before he was mayor. And congressman.
You're right.
Emmanuel Cleaver came to speak for the assembly, and the students walked out of his speech because they were trying to make their Martin Luther King assembly some rainbow of colors assembly, and the students did not care for that, so they walked out of the auditorium and they staged a sit-in. And they were told not to. They were told they would be marked absent. They were going to be punished and da-da-da-da-da. And there was one sole teacher who walked through the halls, and even a couple of principals who came, or assistant principals came and gave high fives. The principal was totally against it. But one teacher walked through the halls and he took attendance, and every one of his students that were in that protest, he marked as there and gave them an A for the day. So this particular school has gone and has changed from what it used to be. It didn't like student protests. It tried to stop student protests. And this year they decided, no, we're not going to stop this protest. We're going to allow our students to be a part of it and go above and beyond. And I'm proud of them.
Yeah, I'm proud too.
Really proud.
Especially when it started to affect them even much more. Especially, with this being a digital age, this is their age.
This is their age. This is it.
We do know that there are some older people who know about technology and social media, but this is their thing.
This is their thing.
So I feel like they should very much be a part of it, and I'm glad to hear that. And they, kind of took it upon themselves to say, you know what, enough is enough. We're not going to stay silent. We're going to stand up, do something, and try to bring about change. And I feel like they're doing it in a positive way. So I totally support them. And I think they have another march or something coming out on the 24th, March for Our Lives or something like that. I think that's the name of it. So I'm anxious to see, what comes up about from that march as well.
Yeah,
and I totally
I'm
support
hoping to see change of some sort. I'm not sure what exactly. And coming to the table is going to be hard because this is a very difficult subject to deal with because it is encroaching on people's freedoms. And the reality is the Second Amendment was created to protect the First Amendment. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out and what changes can be made and where we can find middle ground. Not one side, this government has a good thing of either going too far left or too far right. We need something in the middle. We need to learn how to find the middle.
We need to, but we also need to at least have the conversation.
Oh, yeah, we got to.
And I feel like a lot of times the conversation is shut down before it can be had.
Yeah, no, we have to have the conversation because that's the only way you're ever going to find the middle.
Right on.
So, okay, and then moving on, I don't know if you guys looked, I posted this on Facebook, but an artist named JR, he painted what he's calling the eyes of the dreamer. And it's basically two big eyes and eyeballs.
Yeah.
And he put one side set up one side on the Mexican border and the other side on the American side, half of the border. And, or why do I keep saying American? One side on the United States, one side in Mexico.
Right.
Okay. And so he made it a picnic table, and he brought all these people together from Mexico and from the United States, and they sat down and they passed bowls of chips and whatnot all the way around the table. So they were all eating the same food, listening to the same music. Half the band was on one side of the border. The other half of the band was on the other side of the border. And they just had this big picnic right there at the border.
Yeah.
And it's when you look at it from an aerial shot, you see these two tables come together and they look like eyes. And of course, he's calling it the eyes of the dreamer. And it's just really trying to garner attention to uniting these two countries.
Right.
Instead of pushing us so far apart. Why can't we unite like Canada? I mean, because we're not building a wall. Think about it. We're not building a wall on that side of the border.
Right.
Just on the
southern border. Star. Yeah.
So I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, I saw the photo that you posted, and it makes you think, especially with the two eyes, the imagery of the two eyes, and it's almost like I see what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I see what you're trying to do, but also with the people around the table, we're still coming together despite this divisiveness. I kind of like that.
That's an interesting take from it. That's what they say about art. Everybody sees it differently.
Right,
and I loved it.
I don't think there's a wrong way to look at it, but I feel like it should be looked at positively.
Yeah. Well, here's one more thing. And I looked at this positively. And I don't know how y'all gonna look at this. But so have you ever played Would You Rather?
Yes.
Okay. So, Would You Rather is a game where you ask, would you rather do this, or this? So, they put them up on Facebook a lot of times. And would you slap your cousin for $1 million?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't answer that question on Facebook every time. Yes. And you know which cousin it's going to be. Because I would slap my cousin. Would you slap your cousin? I might slap my mama for $1 million. She'd hit me back. I don't know. But I give my money.
Yeah. I don't know if it would require money from me. There's some people I would slap, period.
Right. So Snapchat did one, but they said, would you slap Rihanna or would you punch Chris Brown?
Yeah.
And so there's this big thing over it. And as far as the game, this is a game that's been there forever. And I have that game in my closet, and I wouldn't be surprised if I saw that question. Does it have those two people in it? Probably not, because I think I got the game in 2009, and that was before the incident. But I'm sure that the question itself is in there. So I'm not shocked about the question. It was very tone deaf, especially in this day and age. And on a side note, the reason,
and then with Snapchat being so new, I mean, they knew about this Chris Brown and Rihanna situation. Yeah, so that should have been edited.
It was very tone deaf. But the reason I think it was tone deaf is because we don't teach people how to learn a room. We don't teach people what to look for and know what you can say and what you can't say in a certain area. When you was little and you went into your mama into the room and your mama and them was talking, you knew, okay, it's some things I can say in here, some things I can't.
Yeah, and you better not ask no questions. Stay out of grown folks' conversation.
Right, you were taught that, but that's how you were taught. And so we tell these stories, man. I walk in the room, my mama, you see grown folks talking. we tell it in such a negative way, but it did teach us a lesson, and it taught us not to be tone deaf. These kids are not getting that lesson because we are so busy teaching everybody, oh, you gotta, don't be mean to them, don't hurt their feelings. And don't get me wrong, I ain't saying bully kids, but you need to hurt their feelings every once in a while.
Listen to you.
Hey, but so anyway, that was a side note. But Rihanna clapped back. And she basically let Snapchat know that, hey, I really don't like y'all right now, but why would you even ask this question?
Right.
Well, Rihanna's clapback dropped Snapchat stock by $800 million.
And one day or?
One day.
That's a lot.
And
that's a wake-up call.
This is the positive that I see in this. Look at what one black voice has. Now, that's Rihanna.
Right.
That's Rihanna. One black voice has. Just imagine what your voice has, the potential of power that is in your voice. Now, again, like I said, that's Rihanna, but don't forget, the black GDP is bigger than the total of Mexico's. Your voice and your power comes in your dollar. Pay attention to where you spend your money, and you can have that same effect.
Right.
So that's why I say I think this is a positive story.
Okay. Yes, I can see that.
That's all I saw when I was like, wow. Look at it.
It's not just children. It's not just children, though. When you were mentioning that, I was thinking about me at work and how I'm almost having to chastise grown people. Like, hey, like, don't you see this lady right here? Like, don't talk like that in front of this lady. And like people just don't read. These are guys.
Okay. Well, let me ask you: are these guys your age or younger?
Older.
Oh my goodness! Never mind.
Yeah, I don't really work with anybody that's too much younger than me. We're all around the same age, or they're older.
Okay.
But you should still have some type of common sense. Like you said, work, like, know your audience. Look around. People they just don't care anymore, and that's like a thing that's everywhere nowadays. Nobody seems to care.
You know, I think we've gotten to this point where everybody feels like I'm grown, I can do what I want to do. And you can do what you want to do, but we're all connected. So the guy that sits here and says, I can do what I want to do, I don't have to talk to you today. You don't have to talk to that person today. But here's the thing. You don't talk to that person for whatever small reason. It may be a very small reason, but it causes a chain reaction.
Right.
You know, I don't have to pay attention to this. I don't have to get up and go to work. If I want to sit here and not do nothing, if I don't want to eat, here's the best one. If I don't want to eat today, I don't have to. No, you don't. But you might die if you don't eat. Okay, let's be real. You might die, and if you die and don't mean nothing to you, it means something to your mother. It means something to your family.
Yeah.
People care about you, unless you're one of these people that sit here and don't nobody care about you. But I would hope, you're not a person that don't nobody care about. And if you are, I would hope that you are trying to, you at least care about somebody else.
Enough to then care about yourself.
Right, to care about yourself. We're all connected somehow. And even if you think don't nobody care about you, you never know. It might be somebody out there thinking about you, loving you.
Because you never know what effect you have on people.
Right, and just can't reach you for whatever reason. We have got to learn how to deal with one another again, because that's the problem. We've gotten to the point I don't want to do, so I'm grown, I can do whatever I want to do, and it doesn't matter how you feel about it, but it does.
That's a hard one for me, because I know when I don't want to deal with you, I don't deal with you.
But
I will pull myself away, do my own thing.
Yeah, that didn't work with me. So
because you the problem.
That don't work with me, because I show up at your door. But it's just we're connected. We need to really start talking to each other. And I heard something this weekend that I found so profound. We need to start getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, because change and understanding doesn't come when you are sitting in your comfort zone.
Right.
It only comes when you step outside of it and you look at things from somebody else's point of view. Then you start to understand. Then you start to make changes in your life. So we need to start getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
And
Damon Wayans said that.
Oh, well, that's
Or
a
not
good
Damon,
one. One of the Wayne and Sean.
No, the little one, Marlon.
Really?
Yes, he did.
The little one?
The little one.
The one who can't seem to keep his clothes on damn near every movie. That's actually I like
very
that.
profound. I thought that was very profound.
Well, keeping is it my turn?
Yes, it's your turn.
Keeping with this positive note, these three, I think it's 3 stories, but these all were like almost on my Black Achievements and Excellence list. But let's talk about Shirexia Rexy Roll. She is the Vice President of Operations and General Counsel for Western Air, a Bahamas-based Black-owned aviation business. And when was the last time you heard of a Black-owned aviation business?
When was the last time you heard of Black people in aviation together?
I mean, we got some Black pilots out there, but they're very few and far in between. And y'all know if left up to me, we'd be on the ground because me and flying, we don't do that. But I think this is maybe one of 2 or 3 Black-owned businesses, aviation businesses, and she's only 29 years old. And she took over the business for her parents, but then she was able to expand it. Now the worth is over $90 million or something like that of the company.
Wow, good job.
But one of the reasons, one of the things that she said that stood out to me when she was asked a question in this interview was, they asked her, have you ever dealt with discrimination or discrimination based on your age, race, and gender? If so, what did you do about it? And she said, like most women, we have our intuition, and what I've learned is that we must follow it. The minute I sense a meeting has turned beyond the level of business, I shut it down immediately. I've learned that if you want people to take you seriously, especially in the industry where I have to constantly negotiate claims and deal with serious regulations, you must be confident in what you know and only do business with people who are focused on the mission and sealing the deal. And I thought that was actually some really good advice.
Yeah, good advice.
Because,
great advice.
Especially in the wake of this Me Too movement and the Time's Up movement, where women are, now coming out saying, this is what happened to me. Her saying, sometimes you just have to be confident. You just have to not allow it if you have any control over it, because sometimes you don't.
Right.
But then also when you're dealing with positions or in an industry that's dominated by men, you have to stake your claim. And know your stuff, and then
be
basically
willing to walk away.
Be willing to walk away and not funny business, nothing like that.
I think ultimately that right there is the key: being able to walk away. Just say screw it.
I think that goes for
that
men
goes
too.
Well, I think that goes with everything. The moment you put yourself in a position where you're able to walk away, you become valued higher. Your value is worth more for some reason. People don't take you seriously until you say, well, screw you then.
Yeah, especially if they feel like you need them.
Right.
And you ain't got nowhere else to go.
The minute you say, I don't need you, then you become very valuable.
So shout out to Rexy. That's her nickname is Rexy. Hey, did we just talk about that? Now, moving on to 21 Savage. Do you know 21 Savage? Have you heard of 21 Savage? He's a rapper.
Okay, yeah.
The only thing, I don't think I know any of his songs. If I do, I don't know that they are his songs.
Uh-huh.
But I know he was dating Amber Rose. What is that all about? Amber Rose got the slut walk. So,
she the one that walked down the street with no clothes on, talking about female power.
Yeah. You don't believe in the... Nah, I ain't gonna.
Not that way. We said positivity. Let's move on.
We keeping it positive. But anyway, 21 Savage stopped by the Ellen Show on Monday to perform his hit single called Bank Account. And after the performance, he shared a special announcement that he announced the launch of the 21 Savage Bank Account campaign, which is a program designed to help kids and teens gain financial literacy. And that's one of the things, especially when it comes to like these,
understanding
not just
money.
Celebrities, but like these new rappers, but also these new athletes.
Yes.
Because they come in the game, they get all this money, and all of a sudden,
they do
3
the
years,
Will Smith thing.
you filing for bankruptcy. We ain't seen you nowhere. All your money gone because you're trying to live it up. And you don't know anything about managing your money.
Video.
And everybody's like, well, don't you have or why don't they have financial advisors? Which is something I think should be provided in school. Like, especially if you're playing athletics. I'm about to say playing athletics on the collegiate level. Mm-hmm. I feel like that should be mandatory to take a financial business course or something like that to know how to manage money if you come into it. Because usually when you're playing collegiate athletics, collegiate athletics, then that's something that you're pursuing.
Well, when I was little, when I was in high school, we went to this thing called Exchange
City. I remember Exchange
down
City.
at Hallmark, and they set up this little city, and everybody, you got a job when you went in. You drew out of a bowl, and that's how we did it, at least.
Yep.
And you drew your job. I worked at the popcorn stand. I was the manager. I think
I worked at the bank
here. But you had a bank, you had a radio station, you had a mayor, and so on and so forth.
And you got a paycheck.
And they taught you literally how to build. Like in that, I learned from that. Now I know I don't want no popcorn stand, but I learned how to run a business.
Right.
So you learned this. They taught you checks and balances, and they did all this in the afternoon.
Right.
But
it wasn't even a full school day.
Yeah, you learned how to do the books. You learned how to do all this different stuff, and you did it in a way that was fun
as well as educational.
Very educational, but it was so much fun. And then when I was even younger, I remember one of the workbooks from school. This was when you actually you had your book, your hard book that you had to return, but at the beginning of the year you got a workbook as well, and that one was a paper book, and you wrote in it and everything, and you didn't have to return that one, but you could pop the money out, and you learned how to write a check. You learned about money. They do not teach these kids about money anymore. And I don't know if they figure that's up to the parent or whatnot, but that's a bad thing unless they don't want you to learn what money is and they just want to take it from you. But
because if you don't understand,
if you don't understand money, you'll lose it.
Like that's what's happening.
Like Will Smith.
What's Will Smith's story? You keep mentioning Will Smith.
From his DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince days, all that money, all that Grammys, blew. He went out, he got houses, he got cars.
Yeah, that's usually what they do.
Blew his money. And if it was not for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air coming up, he would be broke to this day.
Really?
Yeah.
And now he seemed like he's financially sound.
Because he learned his lesson.
Learned his lesson.
Because he did down to his last dollar when that came up. So he learned his lesson. Luckily, he got a second chance. Everybody doesn't get a second chance.
Right. Somebody else that I feel like went by the wayside a little bit like that was, I feel like Terrell Owens has a story similar to that. And he was trying to get back into football because he couldn't really pay his bills. I remember seeing him on an episode of Iyanla, and I think he was talking about his financial troubles. Of course, child support, because one thing we know how to do is spend money and
with a whole bunch of women.
Because we know how to live it up in the moment, but we don't plan for our future. And I feel like, I don't know if it's that we don't care, or we're not taught to care.
I think it's not that we don't care. It's understanding again. When you don't understand how things affect you, like, I was talking to a relative who is a veteran, and I was telling them that they needed to kind of pay attention to what was going on in politics, because the VA affairs director right now, his head might be on the chopping block. And they're like, well, how does that affect me? You're a veteran. This person is what makes policy for you. And she says, oh, that's right. I did get more money this year, and I got more on my taxes. So I guess this Republican Congress and Republican president is doing good for me. I said, no, because this Republican didn't do any. Yeah. No, I said, this Republican didn't affect your taxes this year. Or last year, because they were talking about their tax return. I was like, this Republican didn't affect that. They're going to affect the one next
2018.
year. And you lose your earned income tax credit, and you have children.
Right.
And she was like, wait a minute. That's where all my money comes
from. The money.
And I'm like, yeah. So now you're getting ready to see the effect of it, but you won't see it for at least a year, because you got to give that president a chance to get in office and
get
his policies to go into effect.
Action. Yeah.
And so the policies went into effect as of January 1st. So come January or December 2019? No. December 31st, 2018. Oh, we all screwed up on these years today. Then you do your taxes, then you'll see.
You'll see the difference.
And she was like, so my earned income tax credit really gone? I said, I think it was removed.
It's definitely going to be affected.
So, and I'm like, and if you okay, you'll only be okay for 4 years. And then in 2021, you're about to be screwed. Just like everybody else. So, I think we don't pay attention to things because we don't understand that we need to pay attention to things. And, we harp on it on this show, but it's really a thing of we just need to learn how to learn how to get comfortable being uncomfortable and learn something new.
Right on.
There you go. That's all I can say.
Have you heard of a woman named Viola Desmond?
No, I've heard of Viola Davis.
Yeah. And I just watched How to Get Away with Murder today, and it was excellent. It was the season finale.
I haven't seen it.
But we ain't talking about her.
Okay.
We talking about Viola Desmond. And I had never heard of her either. But they said she was a businesswoman who had her own line of cosmetics and who died. She's a black businesswoman. She died in 1965, but she was also a civil rights, activist. She was prosecuted for trying to defraud the provincial government of 1 cent.
Are you kidding me?
And that was the difference in sales tax for a seat in the balcony of this movie theater where blacks were expected to sit, and the whites only ground floor ticket price. So she tried to sit in basically the white folks section, and they tried to say, you trying to steal from us. Plus, you ain't supposed to be sitting here. So she had to go to court and go to trial and all of that stuff.
A penny?
Yeah. And I think.
Who paid court costs?
Who
paid the court costs?
Well, this was also I think this happened. Well, she died in 1965, so I don't know what year this actual case happened. But she was convicted and fined 26 Canadian dollars, and including court costs. And,
so she had to pay the court costs?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure it wasn't my great grandma.
Because your great grandma was there?
No, because when you said 1965, okay, maybe my grandma. Point is, I just want to make sure it didn't fall on the taxpayers for 1 cent.
1 penny.
That's ridiculous.
No, she had. Well, remember, she also had her own business too, so she probably could afford to pay her own court costs. But the reason that she came up recently is because now she's about to become the first black person and the first woman, other than a British royal, to appear alone on a Canadian currency. So she's going to be on the new series of the $10 bill.
Okay, so no, I didn't know her name, but I had heard about her.
And I thought that was awesome. And it made me, cool. It reminded me of what happened to Harriet Tubman being on a $20 bill. Who shut that down?
The guy with Mnuchin, with his stuck mouth. Yeah.
Really?
He shut that down.
They just don't want to see black people be great.
No, it had Obama in it. That was it. So as of right now, it's on hold. They said, remember I did this story. They said she could be on the back of one of his $20 bills. You know how that went off, but we're not gonna go there because it's gonna take us to a negative place.
But shout out to Viola Desmond. The late Viola Desmond.
She can't hear me. I got to do it louder.
Listen to you. Also, shout out to 21 Savage as well as Mrs. Shirexia Rexy Roll. I can hear you.
Wonderful. I think we did good.
I don't think we could have been any more positive if we tried.
We really tried.
But it's easier to stay positive when you steer clear of politics.
That's why I saved this for the very, 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 very end.
Oh, here we go.
And the bad thing about it is I can't remember dude's name right now. But Philadelphia just elected a Democratic senator into office. They had a special election.
Right.
I do not remember his name, so please forgive me.
I'm looking it up because I know who you're talking
about.
But
he was elected into...
It's like Connor Lamb or something like that, I believe.
Yes, that's it. That's actually it, I believe. Connor Lamb. Because I keep thinking Mary had a little lamb. I knew it had something to do with a nursery rhyme, and it was a joke. So, but I'm not really trying to talk about it. I just want to say this is what happened. Simply because one guy said his whole total purpose for voting was he voted for Trump, and this has to stop.
So some of the Trump supporters are starting to wake up.
No,
not his loyal base,
right?
But people who voted for him.
I think a lot. Again,
because you vote for him don't mean you support him, I guess.
I said this before. I don't think that everybody who voted for Trump was a racist, and I think and this is the reason, because I think a lot of people were voting with their party.
Yeah, that happened. A lot of black people was voting with their party as well.
No, it's not that many black Republicans, okay? There are some, but it's not that many. But anyway, so I do truly believe that not every person who voted for Trump is a racist. However, every racist is a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
So that loyal base that ain't going nowhere based,
no matter
the majority of them are racist. the majority, that's not all, majority of them are racist. So I'm sure this guy was probably just a Republican voting with his party. That Trump still has 80% of his base, but remember, 80% of Trump's base is only 30%.
Yeah.
It's actually less than 30% of this country. So this is a winner for us. It really truly is.
And it seems like throughout these special elections, Democrats are still kicking tail.
Democrats are kicking butt. They are winning, but if they don't win in their district, they are picking up so many more numbers. It isn't even funny. So this is a district that voted for Trump. I think his vote was like 20% higher than Hillary's in this district. Yeah, they went
Democrat.
That.
Yeah,
they went Democrat. So get out, vote. Your vote does count. Your vote does matter. I know everybody's hearing about these gerrymandering districts and all of that, and now we're hearing about Russia and everything that's going on and meddling and how they're causing issues. Do not come up with that same BS story. My vote doesn't count. Get up and vote. Even if you think your vote doesn't count, what does it hurt for you to get your butt up and go to the poll?
Even if you think it doesn't count, why not?
And if you like the way Trump's running the government, then go for it. You know, that's your vote. I can't tell you not to. I'm going to talk about you, but I can't tell you not to. If you like the way things are going, then you still have a voice and you need to use it. But for those of us, especially those of you who don't like where it's going and what's happening, and you just sitting here, we sitting watching a reality TV show every day. I pick up the phone and I call my girlfriend and say, girl, do you know what happened today? She like, oh, what show? I said, no, you know good and dang on well, I ain't talking about nothing but politics.
Yeah, because it's a shit show too.
Right. I'm like, I don't watch reality TV. This is the only reality TV I watch. So, I mean, and the conversation commences like we watching the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
It's so stupid.
Just,
it is
crazy.
So stupid. And it just, I'm not going down this rabbit hole. I'm not going. Yeah, let's move on.
I said that just to say, get up, get out, go vote.
And we're going to continue to tell you.
Oh, yeah. You're really going to be hearing from me come November. You're going to be tired of hearing me holler, scream, vote. Because then it's going to come out, get up and get your black ass out and vote.
Oh.
I'm trying to be nice.
We were supposed to be positive.
That was positive.
Get up,
I'm positive. I'm going to tell you. On that note, you got anything else for us?
No, ma'am.
All righty. I hope everybody had a magical, what month is this?
This is March.
St. Patrick's Day.
You can say Happy Thanksgiving.
I have not been drinking. Believe it or not, I'm just giddy.
You're high on
life. Off life.
Right on.
Yes.
You look high too.
I am. I'm sleepy. So anyway, I hope everybody had a magical St. Patty's Day, had a good time. It was a great Saturday. And we will chit chat with you on Facebook.
Peace.
Bye.